Hello everyone and welcome to Helix Cloud Games. My name is Richie and this is CloudQuest, a cloud gaming show where we take a deep dive into one particular topic. And this week we're talking about what will be Stadia's biggest game of 2022, and joining me on this quest is none other than Mr. Chris.
Can't believe we're over halfway through the year already. Crazy
I know.
stuff.
Halfway through the year and I'm rocking a decent sunburn.
That's the best thing to have in the summer. It means you've been outside, touched the grass, as they say, and got some
learned my lessons.
fresh.
Now I'm back indoors to play video games, as things should be.
We did it on the other show, Richie, for this week, but
Yeah.
the CloudQuest audience also need to see your shantan.
Alright. So, for audio listeners, I wear glasses, so I have literally a tan line of my glasses on my face. And it's pretty epic. And there's like the colour difference there in the arm.
Look at them muscles, boys and girls.
That was about 2-3 hours, like, in the sun.
Did you wear sun cream?
I didn't. I put some on once I realised I was burning, but damage was already done by that point.
Too late. You're already roasted like a chicken by then.
Yeah. So right now I'm quite red and a bit, when you feel a bit tender.
Yeah, a bit
Hopefully,
sore.
because this was yesterday as the time of recording, hopefully if you're not a member by the time you're listening to this, I'll be nice and tanned and like a bronze god.
Like a bronze god. Wow. It sounds like, Richie, you could have done with some clouds yesterday.
Yeah, I could have done with some clouds.
Quests.
Talking about clouds, if you're interested in cloud gaming, maybe you want to check out some of our other shows, such as the Sounds of Stadia podcast, every single Monday, where we break down the Stadia news on YouTube and podcast services. Our newest show, Talking the PS, where we break down the PlayStation gaming news every single Tuesday, which you can also get early access by being a member for as little as 99p. And we have our live streams. Last one we played was Five Nights at Freddy's. Surprisingly fun. I really enjoyed it, actually. Didn't expect to, but did I get scared? Did I get frustrated? Yes, I did. So, Chris, we're halfway through the year. It's July, as of recording, July the 10th. So we're going to go through some of the games that have come to Stadia this year, or are coming, are confirmed to come, or very, very, very likely to come. Mm-hmm. So if it's Ubisoft and it's announced for this year, it's in the reckoning.
Got a good feeling.
Kind of to work as both a prediction of what we think the game of the year for Stadia will be, and also just to wax lyrical about some of the awesome games that have already come to the platform this year. So
that's true.
We talked about before, a few rules. DLC is not included. This has to be a full release. So the DLC for Resident Evil Village will not be considered. But games that have been out for several years on other platforms but are new to Stadia will be. So, for example, Far Cry Blood Dragon, very recent release, can be up for consideration, despite it initially releasing in 2013.
Yeah, so it's Stadia Game of the Year, not Game of the Year 2022. It's Stadia.
I mean, Game of the Year 2022 for my expectation will be God of War.
Not Elden Ring?
No, God of War. For me, it will be God of War. Ooh. Overall, Elden Ring may take it. Although God of War has the advantage of being closer to the Game of the Year announcements.
Recency bias.
Mm-hmm. But I think it will be Elden Ring versus God of War.
Yeah. Well, the other question asked that the next layer is God of War, for the most part, beat out Red Dead Redemption 2 back in 2018. And would you consider Red Dead... I know you're not a Red Dead fan, but with the community, the people out there, would you consider Red Dead 2 better than Elden Ring if you played them both? I'd be curious to know. So
I don't know. I think the hype around Elden Ring is higher, and the way that game was received seemed to be at a higher level than Red Dead, by my recollection. Again, this could be a recency bias thing.
Yeah.
But it might just be because Elden Ring came out a part of the year where there wasn't much else coming out. That I think it was basically up against Horizon Forbidden West, very good game, but probably a half step down in terms of quality compared to how Elden Ring's been received overall. Where with Red Dead, it was very much straight up against. It was up against like the God of War, and that was just blowing people out the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it might just be the comparison of what was around it at the time.
So you don't think poor Horizon Forbidden West's got a chance at all?
It's a good game, but I think the downside, the thing that kind of pulls me away from that game, in terms of it being a Game of the Year contender, is I think it's already been beaten out by Elden Ring. Comfortably.
Within the same month of release.
I think everyone that I've had to play Horizon's like, it's a really good game. It's a great game, but it's not Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also it is kind of the next Horizon game.
Yeah,
it is that is what that game is. It's exactly what you expect that game to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where Elden Ring was something a bit new, something a bit fresh. That could be actually the downside of God of War, actually.
Yeah, it's a sequel, but
yeah,
interesting. But we won't play any of them on Stadia anyway.
Yeah, we start off a show going, hey, this is going to be a Stadia-focused show on Game of the Year. Immediately start talking about PlayStation.
Well, so to pivot back then.
Yeah, pivot back.
Where do you want to start? Where would you like to start? Chronologically?
I don't know. I haven't actually got them listed out chronologically for the games, so I think we've got a clear split between the games that are currently out and the games that are coming. So I think we'll start with the games that are currently out and kind of give our overview and where we think they sit overall in terms of a Game of the Year contender for Stadia. And I think even bringing in, do you think this game will be in the consideration if it is a new game in general? So the first one is actually probably the first one is Rainbow Six Extraction.
I don't think this is in with a shout at all. I think even just on its premise of what it is, I think there's other titles that are yet to come out this year, and there's other games that have came out this year to Stadia that I personally have enjoyed, and I think the community has enjoyed a lot more. Extraction's a good game. It's fun when you play it, but it didn't have very strong legs on it. It didn't hang around for anything beyond February for me.
Yeah, I think Extraction's a game that I think Rainbow Six Siege players probably jump into as a change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than pulling people away and like sticking with it in the long run. There will be people, but there didn't feel like that much in the way of content when we played it. There might be more now, but
yeah, they've done a few more things since. But most games that I think you and me both struggle with is if there's no story, if there's no narrative to really pull you back in. I know they had the characters and they were trying to tell us about some alien threat, but outside of a couple animated cutscenes of like a face slides in and then there's a fancy animation, it got very rinse and repeat. Like we played for what, 2-3 streams maybe in a row,
and we felt like we were done.
We'd done most things and unlocked most weapons, and character classes don't differ that much outside of a Rainbow Six Siege example.
Yeah, unless you wanted to grind out all the levels and all the characters and stuff, which there is definitely people out there doing that. I think with Extraction, it might follow the same path as Siege, where Siege wasn't the game that it is revealed to be today when it came out. True. It's been a slow burn, and I think that can be the thing with games as a service games. It may be a little bit underwhelming, but with potential when it comes out, and over time, as the game gets supported, it grows into this beloved thing. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, that is not great for a Game of the Year kind of contender.
It's not, no.
Because you kind of need to get Game of the Year. Realistically, you need to come out the gate swinging, and you need to be like enrapturing people with this experience.
Yeah,
and it feels like Extraction is a game that could become something that could have been considered Game of the Year, but it's not for me.
Yeah, it'll probably be looked back on and probably win some awards for like best games as a service title.
But then it'll be up against like things like Destiny, potentially even Skull and Bones, Fortnite, the classic.
Yeah, PUBG, Apex, all of that. But that's why it needs to do something good. But then if it wants to hit those levels that Siege did, then it needs to do that.
Yeah,
so fun with it.
Well, as an ongoing title, like kind of award, it's up against a handful of Ubisoft titles, which I think will beat it out.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Siege, Division, it'd be up against these sort of titles. Potentially Skull and Bones, which I think looks like it's got a lot more promise as a games as a service.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed, with that. Well, it's had more time in the bank as well.
Moving on, the next game I've put on the list is, I 100% do not expect this to be in any sort of Game of the Year consideration ever, but I love it, so I wanted to add it in, and it's Overcooked All You Can Eat.
Yeah, we got it. We finally got it. We're thrilled. We had a great time playing it, but I don't think Overcooked. It might win like indie game if there was a Stadia indie game of the year.
Yeah,
it could. It's got a bit of a fight to put up for, but it might win that one. I think.
I think this is a game we need to go back into and stream, because we didn't stream it. We released it as a premiere because we were on holiday that week.
Yeah.
But this, I think, could be a fun one for the community to jump in with us, because we can play up to 4 players. So that might be on the cards to stream. Maybe later in the year.
Yeah, just try and we might do it on like a celebration stream at some point, because we've got a few milestones coming up. But trying to do Overcooked with people without like vocal chat might be tough.
Yeah.
Like, I need to chop them onions, but there's like a 20-second delay in the stream to the actual event.
What we should try and do is, for our anniversary stream, we'll have a chat with Jeff and Rob, see if we can get them in on it, and we'll do a 4-person Overcooked stream.
Oh, that sounds chaos.
Let us know in the comments if you want to see that. But moving on, World War Z Aftermath. This is a game we've played quite a lot on stream.
It's actually, out of the games we've listed so far, and probably some of the ones that the rest of the ones that are on the list, I think I have had the most fun with World War Z Aftermath this year so far. I think it's been great with the community. Enjoyed thoroughly playing with you. Every time we've sat down, we've done 6 streams of it now. I've had a blast. Yeah, well, we did episode 6 was Rome, and then I think 7's, can't remember what the name of it was. That's the last episode in the campaign, and every single one of them I've played. I've had a great time. Like, I've only ended the stream due to time constraints rather than not having fun. Like, I would dive straight into the next episode immediately, but they take about 2 and a bit hours a pop, and we have work and other things. But yeah, World War Z absolutely hit all my expectations. It's not the most polished game. It's not the most story-driven game, but just from a sheer fun standpoint with other players out there, it's a blast. It's killing zombies en masse. It's so fun.
Yeah, I think if we were to do our own kind of awards thing for like our channel, and like there was a game and where you could put down a game of the most fun we've had streaming, well, you can just tell by the number of times we've streamed it. Like, I think that would be a shoe-in.
And the watchers, remember, our audience, we've got like, I think our first look at episode 1's like 3,000 odd people now. And then obviously it trickles off as you go through them, but they always have plenty of viewers, so our audience enjoy them as well.
That's the thing, when you, as streamers, you have that thing where like you want to play a game that you want to play and you want to highlight and showcase, but when it comes back to playing another game, if a game does really well in terms of views, we are more likely to jump back into it. Where if we played a game and it absolutely tanked on stream, even if we wanted to, we might be a bit
wary of it. Yeah, you're right. But
because ultimately, it's not necessarily about the views; it's about wanting to give you the content you want to watch.
Yeah,
and views is the best way we have to monitor that, really.
It is, yeah. First look, episode 1, 3.3 thousand. Episode 2, 1.1 thousand. So it's like some of the numbers. Obviously, it gradually gets less and less. But Outriders, 1.9 thousand. So there's again, you're right. We cycle the content around what you want to see, and it just so happens with World War Z Aftermath, it was fun for us and the audience. So win-win all round. So that's my front runner right now, Richie. If I'm honest.
Of what we've covered so far, I 100% agree. I mean, we've only covered 3 games, so...
and we're only halfway through the year. There is.
Yeah, Worms WMD, I put it in just for the lols. I haven't actually played it yet.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I'm holding out for a stream.
That could be a good laugh. That could supplement, I think, World War Z as the most fun on stream we've had. Potentially, because we can get a lot more of you in on that stream as well.
Yeah, it's like up to 8 players. I don't think it's Game of the Year though. Let's be honest. No, 2D Worms game is not. It's not. That would be embarrassing to put that on. No disrespect to Worms, but it's already like a 7-year-old game, and saying it's Stadia's best game of 2022 is disrespectful, I think, to the platform more than anything for credibility. But shout out to Worms.
Yeah. City Skylines. Have you played much since the stream?
I've gone back to my city just to check it's not collapsed in on itself. But I've took my city building World over to Jurassic World Evolution. I've mentioned it a few times on Talking the PS. So like that itch of looking after and managing, well, a world is, I'm looking after dinosaurs now instead of civilians, quite frankly. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I enjoy City Skylines. I think it is a great game. I'm so glad we've got it. We had a fantastic time streaming it. I don't think it's Game of the Year material just for what it is. Because it's such an older game.
I agree. I think it's a beloved title, and it's one I probably would spend more time in. If at the moment, I've said for a few weeks now, I'm focused on trying to get to the gym on a more regular basis, trying to get myself fit and sexy. If you
put sun cream on, it would have helped.
Yeah, that would have helped. But City Skyline is very much a game where it isn't that casual thing of games where you can just jump in, but it's also a time sink.
Yeah.
As if I jump in City Skylines at like say 5 o'clock when I get home from work, think I'll play for an hour before I go to the gym, I'll look at the clock and it'll be 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sim management.
Moving on, we've got a pair of Far Cry games, Primal and Blood Dragon, both out this year to the platform.
I mean, Blood Dragon's better than Primal, so I feel like that takes it off the list immediately.
Is it like more personal preference with these because they're very different settings?
No, I think it's the way they received, full stop. Primal got a lot of stick for a rehash of the Far Cry 4 map, if I recall. Yeah. And then it didn't have guns. So as a long-standing Far Cry players were suddenly like, oh, okay, so I can throw spears, rocks, and a bow and arrow, but I don't have machine guns, grenades, all of the usual Far Cry wackiness. Like, don't get me wrong, hunting mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, very, very fun. I got the platinum in the game, thoroughly enjoyed it. Did I enjoy it as much as Blood Dragon? No. But that is just a personal preference. But I think the way it's reviewed...
If this came out as Far Cry 4 : Primal, would it have got a bit more of a acceptance with the reusing of the map?
Possibly. But then again,
I only think Far Cry Primal makes it sound like a standalone game, which it technically is.
It was at its full-on release, physical and digital. But I think, just... Let's face it, only nerds like us really know that the map was rehashed. Like, no one mainstream really cares. They just see there's a new Far Cry game out. No English spoken in the game. That was one of the unique things that I think often gets forgot is there were subtitles, but it wasn't like the classic British voice actor coming in and going, oh no, a saber-toothed tiger. It was all grunts and like noises you would expect to hear in Primal times. Oh no.
Oh no, a saber-toothed tiger.
It's it's a fun game. It's very different. But yeah, Blood Dragon takes the cake for me on that one for a Game of the Year contender.
After I've edited Cloud Quest today, I'm jumping into Blood Dragon, so I'm excited to get hands on this. Because you've been telling me for years to play it, so
I have since it came out.
Moving on, we're coming to the end of the games that have come out that we think are worth mentioning in this potential Game of the Year or games we want to highlight this year topic.
Mm-hmm.
Life is Strange Remaster.
Yeah, got pushed back into this year, so it should have been a 2021 release. Came out with the DLC included as well. The Before the Storm is what I'm referring to.
I'm grouping them together.
Yeah,
actually,
same. But
they are technically different. Two standalone titles.
You're the part of a bundle. They're telling the same story.
Yeah, I'm grouping them together.
However, grouping them together doesn't put them in a Game of the Year running for me. I thoroughly enjoyed them, but as time goes on, and after we played Life is Strange True Colours earlier last year, I don't know. I'm just kind of waning a bit on my interest levels for Life is Strange.
Yeah, well, I think with the story of Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm, it's probably the best story of the lists of all the games we've actually got on this list. Full stop.
Agreed. Yeah.
The remasters I actually thought worse than the originals though. If you remember, when we streamed it, we had some bugs.
We did, yeah. We had to restart the whole thing.
Bugs on a remaster for me are incredibly problematic because it's a remaster. You're meant to be improving the game. So if the game doesn't run as well, you're fucked up, basically.
Done.
I'd still 100% recommend people try it. The bugs might have been fixed by now. But yeah, I had a better time playing Life is Strange on my PlayStation 4 in the original version than I did the remaster on Stadia.
The same, exactly the same. Yeah,
It looks better on Stadia. The remasters do look better, but the game's stylized. It's got a stylized art form anyway, so it's like it just didn't really need the remaster, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's more of a money
But
situation, I think.
yeah, moving on. Let's talk about some new stuff.
Yeah, we know about AAA games confirmed
Right, I'm
coming this year. Crazy.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all the AAA games confirmed or highly likely to be confirmed, and then we can just go at it. So, Saints Row, very recently confirmed, strongly rumoured to have been coming for a while, is confirmed. That's in the mix. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, still expected to come this year. No formal release date yet. Everything I'm about to say from this point onwards is Ubisoft. Because that's just the reality of Stadia, unfortunately. Skull and Bones, we've talked about on Sounds of Stadia and on Talking to PS, so we probably won't dwell too much there. X-Defiant, Division Heartland, Ghost Recon, Frontline.
Yeah, so basically all Ubisoft bar Saints Row
Yes.
coming. I do think we'll see Avatar this year, just purely because the movies are due out this Christmas. And I think it seems like such a good synergetic move to just get them both out at the same time.
And we've got Gamescom coming, which Ubisoft's going to be there. We've got Ubisoft Forward scheduled for after that. There's plenty of time for them to drop that release date between now and when the movies come out. 100%.
And if it's pushed back to like March next year, it would seem an odd thing knowing that all of the marketing around, is it The Way of Water, I think is the sequel? There's going to be TV, billboards, buses, trailers, everything leading up to hype the shit out of it. So yeah, you want to get on that bandwagon of that. So I think we'll definitely see that probably middle of back end of November time.
And I think they need to push this game a bit more in terms of show us what the game is.
Yeah, they've been very quiet.
My assumption is this is Far Cry Pandora, basically.
Mm-hmm. Which could be great.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying
the world of Pandora is fantastic. It's actually, funny enough, more in line with Primal we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Spears, hunting, riding animals. And then you've obviously got the humans who come in for their unobtainium to mess shit up with their machine guns and big droids.
As someone who enjoyed the first Avatar movie but didn't really love it, I think the potential for world building is there for this franchise.
Yep.
So it could be really good. I've got a feeling though it's Ubisoft's going to be a 7.5 out of 10 though.
Yeah,
that's my default positioning for all Ubisoft games until they prove me otherwise.
I'm actually looking forward to it. I know I would prefer it to be third person, but I think, as you said, in terms of world building, and let's face it, it's something new from Ubisoft. We lament them quite a lot for going back to Division Heartlands, Ghost Recon. Skull and Bones has been so long in development, and Assassin's Creed and stuff over and over again. But you know what? Avatar is something new, and we haven't had an Avatar game since like the original movie came out on PS3. So it could be fun, and it looked gorgeous in the trailer. So, and it has to be story related, right? It can't be a games as a service if it's focusing on the world of Pandora. So this one actually has me intrigued. Yeah,
yeah. Talking about Skull and Bones, I actually think Skull and Bones has a very strong chance of being the game of the year for Stadia. If Ubisoft don't fill that game full of bullshit. And by bullshit, I mean don't overdo things like season passes and DLC and NFTs and loot boxes, all the stuff that can come with games as a service. If they actually just make a very fun co-op pirate experience where people can just jump in and live in that world and have a good time with the mates, singing sea shanties, have a neck a few bottles of rum while they sail on the high seas and being privateers and whatnot, it could be a really fun experience, or it could completely fall on its face.
Yeah, and that's £70.
I really don't know.
It needs to do something.
But there is Ubisoft Plus.
Yeah, well, that could be the same grace of all of these. Yeah, and it kind of goes the same for all the Tom Clancy stuff. So, like between X-Defiant, Division Heartlands, and Ghost Recon, they all feel very, very similar. I know they dropped Tom Clancy's name from X-Defiant to probably give it its own identity. And then the backlash they got from everyone saying this isn't Tom Clancy, it's bright pink and yellow and wacky and vibrant. That's not Tom Clancy's world. Yeah. So I get why they've done that. But those three games seem a little bit confused for what they want to be, which I think might aid, as you said, Skull and Bones and Avatar to maybe rise above the rest for being different enough.
Yeah, I think X-Defiant looks like it wants to be like Call of Duty, but a bit more vibrant, with a bit more splash of colour in there to try and maybe hit that younger audience.
Yeah.
But the reality is, Call of Duty already exists and sells every single year.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, this is good for Stadia because we don't really have that style of game on Stadia.
Yeah.
But it's not been well received so far. They've kind of withdrawn from it quite a bit. They haven't talked about it much in recent, last 6 months really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm skeptical on that one.
Yeah, same. X-Defiant does nothing for me. I think it just looks like generic shooter 101. And we saw they pulled Hyperscape, and it didn't look that different from Hyperscape. So I don't know what this is going to do to be. When they say it's like a multi-class team-based shooter, what does that even mean nowadays? Like, it's just, if I want to do that, I'll go play Apex.
Yeah, or you play. Oh, it sounds like more like Overwatch.
Yeah, which again has its own list of problems. But I think out of those three titles, I think The Division has the most solid fan base and warrant for more content, because The Division 2, that should have kept going. I think Ubisoft dropped the ball on that one when they give it up and said we're going to move on to new projects. The Division should have been their games as a service. And they were that slow on getting it out, and then the pandemic didn't help to a point where Heartlands could be what The Division 2 should have been, in a way. So I think that has the most potential and love behind it.
What I think works well for The Division compared to a lot of other games, the service games, is it is a solid single-player experience as well.
Yeah, very true.
So this is when I think back to playing... when I got games of service, I always go back to my time of playing World of Warcraft. Mm-hmm. I could jump in and play World of Warcraft for hours on my own and have a great time. And then you've got the other stuff added on top of that. I think The Division does that better than any other games of service we've talked about today.
Yeah, I agree. I've had the most fun in The Division previous titles.
Which, that gives you that opportunity when you, as an adult, when you can't always get your crew together to play, you can still play.
Yeah, agreed. I got the Platinum Trophy in the first Division game. That's how much fun I had with that. As much as it leaned into game service, I played most of that solo. So
I worry slightly with Heartlands because Division 2 came out before Ubisoft announced a change in direction, when Ubisoft was still having a bit more single player focus. So I worry there's a lot of the stuff from games as a service, stuff that are kind of, I don't personally like, that I think become a bit more generally accepted, might creep its way into it. And we know Ubisoft with NFTs.
Quartz.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Ghost Recon Frontline, any thoughts there?
I don't think it'll come this year. I think they won't put Division and Ghost Recon out. They usually try and alternate them. So I think Heartlands was announced first, and we've not had anything from Frontline. So I think we might get an update at the forward. But I think they'll put all their eggs in the Division basket to play it safe for the time being. I think we won't see Ghost Recon for a while.
Yeah, right. So just to wrap up, what, as it stands based on the games we've talked about today, what do you think our game of the year, come the end of the year when we do our game of the year for Stadia episode, what do you think it will be?
Well, the only one we haven't touched on actually is Saints Row. That was the last one on the list.
Did I just skip it?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it for 30 minutes during the podcast, so we've probably already covered it quite a lot today. But in terms of Saints Row,
I didn't mean to skip it.
Yeah, I think it can either go either way. It's going to be huge because it's filling a void that Grand Theft Auto isn't filling. We're not going to see GTA 6 for a few years yet, at least. Yeah. It's a reimagining to bring it more in line with real-world aesthetics like Grand Theft Auto. Gone are the superhero tricks and power. I'm sure there's a dildo bat in there somewhere still. And I'm sure there's loads of humour sprinkled throughout, but it seems to be the most grounded, open-world, crazy shit city that they've ever going to have. That's the way they're marketing it. Yeah. For Stadia, I think this will be a huge get because we don't have... we've got Saints Row games, but we don't have a game on the scale that they're promising. I think visually, it's very much leaning in towards next-gen, so it's going to look gorgeous. I just think if it can name the gameplay and be fun, I think this could be the biggest title on Stadia this year, hands down. However, because it's Volition and Deep Silver, I think it might be, and it's Saints Row, it has the chance to also just become another AA random open world game. So I think it's literally on a knife's edge the way this could be received. Yeah,
on Sounds of Stadia, I described my perception of Saints Row as a AA, more slapstick version of Grand Theft Auto. But this one has the potential to break into that, it standing up alongside Grand Theft Auto in its own right, not as a cheaper knockoff, as a actual, if you're bored of Grand Theft Auto 5, come play this now.
Yeah, exactly. And it will have story. It will have multiplayer. So it will have racing. It's got wingsuits. So it kind of ticks all those boxes you expect from this type of game.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that'll do really well on the platform.
A AA slapstick version of Grand Theft Auto isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all.
I think we're both leaning towards Saints Row is probably going to be our game of the year for this year.
I think so.
I hope it's not. Because as someone who's not particularly that bothered about the game, I hope my game of the year isn't a game that I'm not that bothered about. I hope it's a game that I really want to play and has come to Stadia.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I think World War Z is a front runner, but I do not want to give my game of the year to an old title. I want to give it to something new and current that genuinely comes out in 2022. I hope it's Avatar, because again, like the movies, love the rides at Disney World. I've got 3 movies of a new quadrilogy coming out, so I'm ready to kind of get on board with that franchise again. And an open world Far Cry inspired game in Pandora could be fantastic if they get it right. So I want to say Avatar for my personal choice, but I think for Stadia overall, I think the audience, the community out there, might just be Saints Row just because of all the wacky shit that they're going to have fun with all their friends.
Yeah, I can see Saints Row. The reason I'm going Saints Row is probably a similar reason. I think Saints Row could be a 9, potentially even a 10 out of 10. If they land it, the plane on this one, it could be good.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar, I'm fully expecting this to be a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10 game, because it's Ubisoft, and that's how Ubisoft always lands for me.
Yeah,
they always feel to be good or very good games, but never push into great. And until I see more of what the game is, it's hard to kind of break that prejudice I have against Ubisoft.
No, don't blame you. I mean, between now and the end of the year, I do also hope we get plenty of other announcements.
Yeah.
Give me a couple more AAA games. Give me some that were delayed from earlier in the year that we don't know about. Fingers crossed.
I think that's the biggest thing. I'm looking at this list and I don't think it's a strong list, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm. Compared to the competition. But you know what? Prior to this last week, 2 of these AAA games we didn't even know were coming, so we'll take it where we can get it.
Hopefully, it feels like a bit more momentum behind Stadia over the last couple of weeks. I'm hoping it continues.
It does. We all are.
But that's all we have time for this week. If you liked the video, hit that like button and become a member for as little as 99p, where you can get early access to this show and talking the PS. And if you've got an idea for a topic you want us to discuss, let us know in the comments or head over to our Discord server. There's a link in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been Richie.
I've been Chris.
Quest completed.